Hi, everyone. I'm Tony Freund. I'm the editorial director of Introspective, 1stdibs weekly online magazine. And for the last many years, 1stdibs has loved going out to LA at this time of year to be a part of the Legends celebration. So I'm sad that we're not there now, but I'm very pleased to at least be celebrating the LCDQ virtually and doing it with two wonderful people, Sarah Shetter and Martyn Bullard. And we're going to start talking in a minute, but I just want to sort of set up what this conversation is about. So Hollywood, homebound Hollywood. It was the early decades of the 20th century when the world first sort of became fascinated by Pickfair, the Beverly Hills estate of Douglas Fairbanks and Mary Pickford, then Hollywood's reigning king and queen. Ever since, we, the adoring public, have yearned for glimpses into the private lives of our screen idols, an affirmation that the folks we loved on the big screen, and later the little screen, lived lives as glamorous and stylish as those they portrayed on film. Through the Great Depression, World War II, and into the prosperous post-war era, we have found escape and inspiration through carefully controlled images of celebrities in their homes, done up by the likes of Wallace Neff, A. Quincy Jones, Richard Neutra, and Billy Haynes, who was once an actor himself. As the century closed out, our access was pretty much still limited to these photos along roadside stands in Beverly Hills selling maps of the homes of the stars, and then the occasional celebrity cover of Paige Renz's Architectural Digest. Don't really need to state the obvious, but in the 21st century, the public's access to their idols' private lives has dramatically changed, thanks to social media and reality television. Today, people like Ellen and Diane and Oprah and Gwyneth are as well known for their lifestyle brands as for their work in entertainment. Indeed, their lives, the houses they buy and redo, what they cook, how they clean, what they collect, is our entertainment in many cases. So today we're going to discuss how the coronavirus pandemic has shifted our relationship with Hollywood's homebound elite, and how we continue to hunger for those glimpses of LA life behind closed doors, but sometimes now it's a little more complicated. So we have two remarkable people, local talents, to talk us through this topic, and I'll start with Sarah. Sarah Shetter is an interior designer based in the Hancock Park area of LA. Since 2004, she's been bringing her warm and livable modern aesthetic to a wide variety of clients on both coasts, including such celebrities as Busy Phillips, Alison Brie and Dave Franco, Phil Lord and Chris Miller, and jewelry designer Irene Newworth. Her work's been featured in a number of publications, including Elle Decor, Architectural Digest, Interiors, Variety, and most recently, Introspective. We did a beautiful story on her last week, so you all should click on the link in the chat and check it out. With every project, Sarah is determined to achieve true harmony that connects people and their spaces, and also their spaces to the world around them. And then to Sarah's left on my screen, or to her right, is Martyn Bullard, who is a multi-award-winning, internationally recognized designer known for his broad range of styles that are equally playful and sophisticated. Martyn has been published in countless publications and worldwide, including Elle Decor, their A-list, and you just celebrated your 15th year as an AD100 designer. Popular television personality, Martyn starred in Bravo's $1 Million Decorators. We did a panel a few years ago with 4 of the 5 original decorators, and that was super fun. And in Hollywood Me in the UK. And his celebrity clientele includes the likes of Cher, Sir Elton John, Gwen Stefani, Ellen Pompeo, RuPaul, Sharon and Ozzy Osbourne, Kylie Jenner, Kendall Jenner, Khloe Kardashian, Kourtney Kardashian, Cindy Crawford and Randy Gerber, Kid Rock, Edward Norton, Eva Mendes, Alessandra Ambrosio, Tommy Hilfiger, Julia Roberts, and Christina Aguilera.
To name got a few.
Well, I was going to say that concludes our talk. We've run out of time. You got your celebrity quotient here, and we're moving on to the next talk. No, so So thank you both for joining us. Clearly, you're both highly qualified to talk about this subject. But before we actually get into it, just quickly, for those of us who aren't in LA, can you just sort of give us sort of the temperature? What's the general climate in the design community right now?
For me, I have to say that I feel very lucky because at the moment I've got 15 projects running, and only one of which is a new boutique hotel, has sort of been put on hold. Everything else is still running forward. I have kept all of my staff on. We have been working like crazy. I mean, it's been kind of amazing. To begin with, of course, I was very scared. I thought, oh my goodness, my clients are all going to start pulling out of their jobs and construction, everything's going to stop. But no, thankfully, people have become even more passionate about getting their jobs done and creating their fantasy home, their sanctuary. So we have actually been super busy. I mean, it's not been easy because, you know, we had to learn how to sort of really rework and relearn all of these crazy things like Zooming and you know, virtual meetings. And of course, there's nowhere to go and get samples and you know, that sort of thing. But we've managed to do it, and it has been an amazing learning lesson for me. How about for you, Sarah?
Yeah, it's been the same. We've been really busy. We feel very lucky about that. And obviously, I think similar to you, we feel lucky that we can do this job from home, you know, which many people can't. And so we've been trying to figure out a way, how do we keep all the people busy who can't work from home? You know, the wallpaper installers, the cabinet makers, the painters, and really, you know, keeping all the sites open, which they have been socially distanced, of course, and with all the rules in place. But it's actually been, I feel good about it. I mean, you know, I feel like business is chugging along, and same, we didn't have to lay anybody off, which feels really nice. You know, we kept everybody employed. So yeah, I think everyone's apprehensive, and obviously, which goes without saying, we also work with a group of people, Martyn and myself, like, you know, they're very wealthy. They're very lucky in this situation. So, yeah.
So
yeah, I have some projects that are out of town. I've got some things in Palm Beach and actually one in Ireland. And so those are going to be a little bit more difficult because
Yeah.
obviously they're quite
Are you going to get on a plane or no?
Yes. So, you know, it's the getting on a plane thing is still a little worrying.
Yeah.
So I'm going to give that another month or so before I kind of really make my decision about how we deal with that.
But in the meantime, you can focus on your local celebrity clientele who are probably very needy right now. So I want to ask about that. How is Hollywood holding up? I mean, it's a community that thrives on an audience, and people aren't getting outside. So what's the sort of psychological state of your entertainment industry clients?
You know, again, I have obviously I have a bunch of celebrity clients, and I have 5 sitting on my roster right now. The interesting thing is that some of my clients are singers and performers at the moment, and so the reality with that is that they don't actually know when they can go back and perform.
Right.
They haven't got a clue when they're going to be able to go out and do a live concert or return to their show in Vegas or, you know, any of those things. So that's making them a little bit worried.
Right.
This is a different time from, you know, lots of people were comparing this to 2008 when we had the whole kind of, you know, financial downturn. But in 2008, I had a lot of celebrity clients at that point, and they were all working like crazy because everybody wanted to be entertained. They wanted to be, you know, their lives were so boring and they had no money, but they wanted to see people singing and acting and dancing. Now, it's a different situation because they can't literally, for their health, get out there and do it. So that's something that's going to be a little bit different. It's a little different temperature to gauge right now.
Right. Yeah, we felt, I mean, we do a lot of writers and showrunners, and, you know, they can be working now, but I think they're all kind of thinking, when can we get, you know, we'll write these words, but when can we get 400 people together for a crowd scene, or 40 people together for a dinner scene? So I think that, you know, no one really knows when that will happen. But I do think we've had some clients who are which I'm sure is true of a lot of these. They're workaholics. They're very rarely home. They're traveling, they're on production somewhere, and so they're home now. So we've gotten a lot of nice phone calls. Just, we finished the house 5 years ago, and now they're saying, this house is so great. I never really knew. I haven't spent any time here. And so that, I think people are interacting with their houses in a different way, which feels really nice that people are using them after all this time spent doing them.
It's been kind of fascinating to see into people's homes, all of these broadcasters and people that are actually now filming inside of their living room.
Yeah.
It's kind of amazing to see. Shocking, actually, some of it, because some of these homes have been absolutely hideous.
Yeah, you're surprised.
Let's name some names, Martyn. Let's get this really interesting right off the bat.
Whose houses look bad? Yeah, tell us.
It's kind of fun though, actually, to turn the TV on, because you can't wait to have another look and see who's got a terrible decor that day. I mean, I've loved being able to sort of stop work for a minute and run in and go and watch things like The Talk or something, and see who they're interviewing that day to see what the person's backdrop is going to be.
Yeah.
That's really it's been sort of a fun fly on the wall visual. we get to see who really needs our help.
Yeah, exactly.
I was going to ask, are you seeing this as a business lead opportunity? Are you sending them emails?
Well, I think you should, right?
I think, it's interesting. We were talking about this before. Martyn, you're in Palm Springs. You're spending more time there than you probably have at that house in a long time. And I think, Sarah, you were saying you have clients who are spending more time, but also spending a different type of time. They're not entertaining. They're really looking at their spaces in a different way.
Right. Yeah, I think that's definitely true. I mean, I thought of these clients who we did their house a few years ago. We spent countless hours designing their kitchen for caterers and parties, and I've thought about them a lot. Like, I wonder how they're using the kitchen now that it's just them and they're just using it. But I think people are really interacting with their houses and like I said, living in them, which feels great. They're turning dining rooms into schoolhouses. They're turning, guest houses into their offices. It's I think it's innovative in a way, and it's exciting to see. I'm looking for like the root cellar to come back, or other things are going to come back to these houses.
Even for me, it's been amazing. I've actually been using my kitchen.
Right.
It's astounding. Because I've mostly been at my house in Palm Springs, which I have never spent this amount of time here ever. I usually come down for the odd weekend, and we've kind of been here for almost 8 weeks now. And I didn't even know how the kitchen worked, literally. It's been hilarious getting to know how to use a kitchen.
So what's the verdict? It not only looks great, but it's pretty efficient, or?
It's great, but I've got all of these sort of Gaggenau ovens and things like that here, which have literally took days to understand the manuals of how to turn them on and off. But it's been good. It's been a learning process.
Right.
Sarah and I were discussing my Dyson vacuum cleaner yesterday. So we've all got beautifully designed product that actually cleans and turns corners well. So we all have a new relationship to a very intimate relationship with our homes.
One of the funny things is that obviously we've all got very wealthy clients, and the reality is that now obviously they're having to clean their own houses, cook their own meals, pour their own glass of wine at night. There's a whole new thing happening for people, which is kind of amazing, because for me, I now really, really appreciate what my wonderful housekeeper, Maritza, who I've had for 20 years, I really appreciate what she does and what she does for me. It's, I love her even more. I can't wait to get her back.
No, you realize why they say back-breaking work. It is very, very hard work. Not that we didn't know that before, but I think we're just more appreciative of it now.
Yeah, listen, I'm so lucky I've had a housekeeper for all this time. But
part of, there's been backlash on, some, we're calling this the great leveler, but, there's been backlash, I think, Ellen or the Gal Gadot video, Imagine video. These people who are homebound, but homebound in, you know, these sumptuous places, which is sort of why I think it's interesting, this complicated relationship that we now have, because, you know, during the Great Depression, we looked at those Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers movies and sort of the lives of Hollywood as aspirational, as inspirational. It wasn't, you know, the time wasn't as politicized, although I'm sure there were, you know, political factions saying down with the elitists. But I mean, that's like a complicating factor today when somebody who has a very lovely lifestyle opens up their doors to the world, there can be that backlash.
Yeah, I mean, this is a terrible time for so many people, and it's very hard. I mean, listen, I was just very flippant about saying about I can't wait to get my maid back, but the reality that is part of my reality, and a lot of things that people have said and done on television is part of their reality, and it's very easy to kind of forget what else is going on in the world and just concentrate on your own sort of problems. But we have to look at this as a big picture. I mean, for me, it's so important now to find out ways that we can help people, that we can, the big problem now is feeding people. So one of the things that I've loved to see is all of the celebrities that have stepped up and they're out there and they're raising money for people and doing incredible things. I mean, look at all the stars that were doing these sort of amazing graduation speeches for people, and I mean, it was beautiful. Actually, yesterday, a dear friend of mine, my client Ellen Pompeo, yesterday did a beautiful video for a friend of mine, another wonderful lady that works with us. Her daughter was turning sweet 16, and obviously couldn't see her friends. All the parties were cancelled and everything, and so Ellen did a beautiful birthday video for her. I mean, it's those little things that are amazing, and the fact that celebrities have power, that people want to watch them and see them and interact with them, that a lot of them are stepping up and doing that is wonderful. I mean, Gail did not mean to make that her whole Imagine thing. That was done to be something beautiful. It wasn't done to be something to cause that awful effect.
I think we're all kind of learning to ride bikes as they're being built underneath us. Yeah. And I think there's going to be missteps. I'm not giving them a hall pass for that. But I think if it's any time to remember to just kind of be kinder to ourselves, kinder to the people around us, you know, there's going to be mistakes and weird moments in this.
And we all make mistakes. And I think for the celebrities with a spotlight on them, of course, you know, that makes it even worse. Yeah. But most people out there have been doing an incredible job to get a message across, to be supportive, to raise money. There's been this incredible thing in Hollywood where one of the agents from WME has been doing these private concerts every Friday night, and people kind of join in on via Zoom, and they donate money to a food bank or some great charity that week, and all different people sing for this sort of private audience, and have raised huge amounts of money, $2 million. So that's the kind of stuff that's been amazing, and that's the power that celebrities have been able to bring to this.
Well, I want to get back to this idea that you know, Hollywood is a town of fantasy and image making, and certainly what you two do is about, you know, beauty and fantasy. So, you know, these are heavy times, but what you do is create beauty. So, you know, how are you inspired now in this time to continue to do what you're doing?
I think that I mean, I think in terms of Hollywood beauty, there will always be that image of, you know, let's say someone like Robert Evans standing in his tennis whites, look on his veranda, having a martini, looking at his expansive grounds. Like that will just always kind of exist as an iconic Hollywood moment or vision. But I think that we're at a period now where it might be a little bit less about being showy and more about function, how these spaces really work, and they can still be incredibly beautiful, but how are we using them? How are they functioning? What are we doing in them? And bringing the beauty in that way.
And Martyn, what's your sort of inspiration moving forward?
Oh, you know, the real thing that's come out of this, and it's something that I've always put into my interiors, and I think even more so now, is that modern luxury, whether we consider that to be Hollywood luxury or modern luxury in general, is comfort. And so it's all about making everything in a home comfortable and inviting. And, you know, home is your sanctuary. As we were saying earlier, you know, particularly for our celebrity clients who can't just run down the road and get a pint of milk, their home has to be their sanctuary. It has to be the place that kind of coddles them and looks after them. And so more than ever now in my interiors, we're going to strive to make things be super comfortable. I keep hearing from people that you know, we didn't realize how uncomfortable our living room was because we only go in there now and again to have a cocktail when we've got friends over for dinner. And now they've been sort of having to use their living room for the last couple of months, and they've realized, my God, the sofa's uncomfortable, the lighting's bad. So this is a time to really kind of grab that experience and change up the look going forward for people, and really understanding that you know, we don't know how long this is going to last, or if it's going to come back, or when something like this is going to happen again. So home now really has to be kind of the anchor for everybody. And for us as decorators, that's amazing because we get to kind of do and create that now even more so.
Right. I
Yeah.
agree.
Yeah, I have to say that we are very lucky, as you know, that we're not in the fashion business right now. I haven't, changed this shirt, and well, actually, I put on a new shirt today specifically for this, but I haven't changed the other shirt, in 9 weeks. But I am looking around this room all the time. There's a blank wall there that definitely needs something that I'm going to buy on 1stdibs this afternoon.
Well, that's what I want to know, actually, Tony, because obviously there's a lot of businesses struggling. I myself have a shop that obviously we haven't opened. How is 1stdibs doing? Have you seen people have been sitting at home shopping? Are they looking for that perfect thing to add to their wall, or that chair for that corner?
I think we have seen that people are shopping. We're seeing an increase in traffic to the site, in saves, and we're still seeing a robust business. And I do think it is, exactly what you're saying. People are, want their homes to be comfortable. People who have maybe spent 3 days in their second home now are living there, or in their own home, are now living in their kitchen, sitting in their living room, and they're prioritizing sort of fixing it up. So again, the economy of the world is in a terrible place, but our business is doing really well. So and that's important because we are a business of 5,000 small business owners, antique dealers and shopkeepers, many of them who are in the LCDQ, who rely on us now more than ever to, find them an audience who isn't coming through their doors. So we almost, it's a mission. It's important to us to keep selling, keep these businesses in business. So it's felt very fulfilling to be doing this.
Something that I found interesting, which is actually very encouraging for us as well as the design community, is that here in Palm Springs, for instance, I spoke to a realtor yesterday, and he said he has been so busy. He said people from LA have been desperately looking to buy houses down here so that they can come down and spend the summer, not just renting, to buy. So actually the real estate market here in Palm Springs, in Malibu, in Carpinteria, in all of these sort of secondary home destinations, people are looking to buy right now because they want to have another escape. And when they buy a new house, they need to decorate it. So that's kind of good for business all around.
Good.
I hear it's the same on the East Coast, in the Hamptons, and all of that.
Yeah, and I think people are looking for places that are kind of compounds in a way. Again, the ultra rich, but they might have 1 or 2 houses on them. Maybe somebody can live in the other house. I think it will kind of change real estate a little bit and what people are looking for.
Well, I have several more questions, but I'm aware that our time is nearly up, and I have no idea how many people are out there, but for the legions who are there and are asking questions, I want to turn it over to somebody, Tamar, to sort of hand me some questions that I can kind of send to you. And if the technology doesn't provide me with those questions, I'll ask you something else. But in the meantime, I do want to ask you, since we are being hosted today by the LCDQ, kind of what do you miss most about that, and what are you going to do when things open up? Where are you going to head?
That's a toughie. I feel like everywhere. It's so hard. I mean, it'll be so nice to just see our friends in the design community and, you know, chat with them about projects. And like Martyn said, look at samples, see things in person will be really, really nice to visit all those stores.
Yeah, I mean, it's LCDQ is full of our fellow designers, you know, so there's a great sense of camaraderie there, and it will be even more so now, having gone through and going through this. So it'll be so, you know, that I can't wait to get out and shop, of course, but it's also, as Sarah said, it's so nice to get out and see other people in your industry and you know, and feel that energy again. I think that's one of the things that's kind of tough, you know, sitting at home, is that, you know, you need to be out to get the inspiration and see new things and feel new things and see energy and feel it, you know. And so that's one of the things that's really missing. And of course, the whole LCDQ is such a great heart of design in Los Angeles. And the event is always so fun. So we're certainly missing that this year.
Yeah.
So I want to ask, okay, we have one question that's come in which is about, and you touched on it a little bit. You touched about the people who you like, who you like to see their bad interiors. But who's sort of the most fun to follow, or what celebrity have you seen that you've really loved their style, or love what they're doing on Instagram?
I have loved following Martha Stewart. I don't know if anybody else is following her. Martyn, yes.
I'm obsessed with Martha. She's hilarious.
It's incredible. I mean,
and I love it.
Her whole staff there, she's referring to them as her detainees. It's so over the top. But they're making margaritas together. I don't know. There's something about it. You really feel like you're peeling back the curtain, and there's nothing perfect about it, and it's flawed. And she seems. It's great. It's not what I expected, I guess, from her Instagram during this quarantine. So it's nice to be surprised.
You know, the hilarious thing with her is she seems to always be drunk, which is just hysterical. Oh my God, it's hysterical. I love that cooking show that she does with Snoop Dogg. That is one of my favorite kind of guilty pleasures.
The fact that they're such close friends is enjoyable.
It's beyond brilliant. You know who I've absolutely loved following, though, who's a very good friend of Martha's, is Douglas Friedman, the photographer.
Oh.
So Dougie's shot so many of my jobs and covers and things over the years. But Doug, you know, he actually did a shoot with me in Mexico, and he got on his plane to go to Texas. He lives in Marfa, and I got on my plane to go to LA, and that was it. Both of us landed, and everything shut down. So he was sort of the last person I saw really in the industry. And so Douglas, though, went to Marfa and sat in his house. He's really spent no time in, because he's a constant world globetrotter. And he's decided to do this thing. He started to collect chickens, and he's opened a hen house, and it's called the best little hen house in Texas on Instagram. And it's hilarious. In fact, he's named one of the chickens Martha Stewart, which I thought was rather hilarious. And he's got Wendy Goodhen after Wendy Goodman, you know, from the New Yorker magazine. I mean, it's the most hilarious Instagram to follow, and he's done the most beautiful job shooting these chickens as if they're supermodels. These extraordinary portraits. So that's been a fun one.
It helps when you can create your own great content. So
it does, yeah. But you know, the fun thing is that I was saying that we're missing inspiration, but really now we've got Instagram and things, we're getting so much inspiration. And when you've got people that are creative like Doug, it's so fun to follow that and see that, and see people that are doing things that are beautiful, but with a little humor to it, which is of course what we all need.
Have you seen anything that you hadn't ever seen before? I know you guys get a lot of access into some great homes, but has social media or TV divvied up anything that's been surprising or wonderful for you to discover?
Yeah, I think it's kind of, I mean, I have loved discovering the hideous interiors. It's hysterical. again, the view. I mean, I love Joy Behar, but she has had the most hideous room that she's been sitting in doing her thing. It's like some dreadful sofa. I mean, it's hysterical. I just love watching these terrible interiors.
Yeah, I would say the same. I watched David Brooks the other night, and his, the lighting was terrible. He couldn't get it right. I mean, it's fun to watch people kind of, as we said, like feel their way through this and try to find some footing.
Jimmy Fallon's been brilliant as well,
Yeah.
because his house, he lives in like sort of a giant playhouse. It's so hilarious. There's big there's big holes in the wall that end up being a slide that whips down to another room. I mean, it's madness. I love it.
And there wasn't enough time to prepare that set beforehand. This is legitimately how we and the family live.
Real.
Yeah. Yeah. How about historic Hollywood? Are you going into seeing any images of great old houses that you are thinking that you need to get to as soon as things open up?
Oh, I mean, there's been some beautiful things that people have posted on Instagram that we've seen, that way. That I think there's lots of things now that are out there that have actually been inspiring me, and that I've kind of made a little list of places that I want to see, and actually, more than anything else, it's been inventory that people have been showing from different dealers and people in England, and lots of people have done these sort of wonderful tours of their shops, and you see something. I mean, I was like, oh my god, I have been looking at this brass palm tree lamp for about 5 years, and suddenly I saw it in someone's video the other day. Those kinds of things have been good.
It took a pandemic to get you the palm tree lamp.
And luckily for you, they are on 1stdibs.
Yeah, we've been looking at the Gamble House recently for a project, and looking at it a lot online and thinking, and I can't wait to go back there in person. I mean, I've been before, but I think now to go back after studying it so much online will be great. So I think you're right. Like Martyn, you make a list of all these places, it will feel like you're going to them for the first time and appreciating them so much.
Yeah, I shot a TV show at the Gamble House.
Oh, really?
So I got to spend a couple of days really nosing around. It's fabulous.
It's amazing.
Green and Green Arts and Crafts house in Pasadena. Yeah.
Yeah.
And of course, famous for starring in Back to the Future.
That's right. That's right.
So when we next come out for Legends, can we do a tour, the three of us, of the Gamble House? I'd love for you to take me on that.
Absolutely. What was that car that he showed up there in? I was going to say the Vibrates. That's not right. Anyway, whatever that mad car is that you have, we need one of those.
All right. The DeLorean. Yes.
Yeah.
So this has been great. I always love talking to you. I've loved doing this with you now, and I'm so pleased that we could be a part of this wonderful day of programming. So thank you to both of you. Stay well, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you, Tony. Lovely to see you, Sarah.
Tony.
Thanks everyone for joining us.